Well, the year has flown by, and can you believe it? It's the final edition of the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show tonight. Welcome, everybody. Brian Roth with you. We'll be joined by the Coach Steve Fairchild coming up here in just a couple of minutes as we say hello from the Beach House Grill. We're in Old Town Fort Collins tonight. We'll be with you here coming up for the next hour as we talk Colorado State Ram football. It's hard to believe that there's just one game left as Colorado State gets set to hook up with the Cowboys of Wyoming. A game coming up on Saturday, and the Rams trying to go out on a positive note here in the 2010 season after a 49-10 loss last week to BYU. As a BYU football team that had come in playing pretty well. In fact, they had hammered UNLV the previous week 55-7 in Provo, and they came back and played well against the Rams, and they get the win over CSU. But as we mentioned, there is one more game left in the season. It's always fun to get this rivalry game in the final week of the season. It has been that way now for 3 years, perhaps maybe even 4 years. The Mountain West Conference has done that, but Wyoming coming in at 2-9. The Cowboys played a pretty tough schedule earlier on in the season, but they have struggled in Mountain West Conference play. They're under the leadership of second-year coach Dave Christensen. They have gone 0-7 in the Mountain West Conference, so Colorado State hoping to send them to 0-8 in Mountain West Conference play, and the Rams will also be looking for their first road win of the season as they try to avenge last year's 17-16 loss to the Cowboys. So we'll talk about that. We'll reflect just a little bit on the game last week, and we'll kind of sum up the season a little bit here on the final edition of the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by the coach Steve Fairchild. That's next from Nelligan Sports, the Colorado State Sports Network. All right, just getting started here tonight for the Beach House Grill here in Old Town Fort Collins. Another great crowd on hand here tonight. Coach Steve Fairchild joining us. I'm Brian Roth. Happy to have you aboard. Let's give out that phone number as we get started here. 1-866-702-7691. That's the telephone number if you want to hop on board. If you have a question or a comment for the coach, 866-702-7691. And also give you an idea of what else we have coming up in the program. Adam Seymour, senior defensive end, is going to join us out of Alta Loma, California. And then Johnny Square, the team advisor, will be in the house a little bit later on tonight, and we'll talk to Johnny as well. You know, he used to be a DJ up here at KCSU.
I did not know
back
that.
in his playing days. It's what Gary Ozello said, and his phrase was,
"Oh, that's the best."
He had a big kind of afro, big hair, and he goes, hey, every time he come back, he said, "This is Johnny Square in your hair." Yeah, that's a Gary Ozello story.
The cat's out of the bag now, so I'm
going to ask him about it.
Yeah, please do.
You know, of course, it's strange because Johnny Square doesn't have any hair. He goes with the bald look here these days, and it suits him well. All right, enough with that. Steve, let's kind of take a look back at last week. We won't harp on it too much, but I know it was something that we were saying on the broadcast, and it's something you said in the post game that just didn't see that one coming.
No, I really didn't. I thought we had a really good week of practice, perhaps our best practice of the year last Wednesday, and but we started out flat, turned the ball over, gave up a big play, and I knew BYU was coming on as a football team, and when you do that against a good football team, you dig yourself a hole that's almost impossible to come out of. So very disappointed. I know our players are very disappointed. I'm not disappointed in our football team. I'm just disappointed in the way we played, and I know in my heart we're much, much better than that, and we're just thankful now that we have one more opportunity to not only get that taste out of our mouths, but to kind of show what type of team we've been the second half of the season. Yeah,
things did snowball on you a little bit, but early in that game, boy, you guys had a fantastic play set up. It was a play fake, and you had a player wide open as Marquise Law down the center of the field, and Pete Thomas never saw him. It kind of was typical of what was to come.
Well, we had a hard downhill play action, and they blew the coverage on that. It's funny you saw that. And Marquise was going to clear a safety out, and we were going to, throw the ball somewhere else. And I saw it as well. They blew a coverage, and he's down the center of the field. Nobody's guarding him. But sometimes, your quarterback's programmed, on some other progressions and doesn't get to that. And that was the case with that play.
It's funny. It's a lot easier to see up there in the press box than it is when you're standing behind the offensive line, isn't it?
Well, yeah, on the sidelines too, but you're right. When you're that quarterback and you got 10, 12 guys in front of you fighting to get to you and collapse a pocket, and you're trying to make a decision in a matter of 2 to 3 seconds. Sometimes you do miss a guy.
Yeah. What'd you tell the team afterwards, and were they down? What were their spirits like?
I think they were disappointed. Like I said, I told them I was disappointed in the way we played, but not in our football team, because they're hardworking guys. They've got good attitude. They give good effort, and if you've got a good attitude and you give good effort, good things are going to happen. And it just didn't last Saturday, but I know we've done some nice things, particularly in the second half this season. We've seen some growth in some areas which we knew we were going to have to grow in, and I just hope we come out and put a good game together here on Saturday.
What do you make of BYU? They hammered UNLV, played well against you guys.
They struggled early in the year. They were trying to figure out defensively what they were, and then obviously they were breaking in a freshman quarterback kid right out of high school, just like we were. So you could see it was similar. They got beat pretty bad by Utah State early in the year, and we're kind of starving for a win, and then they hit their stride, and you could see them getting better every week, and and I thought we were too, but they were certainly the better team last Saturday.
One final thought, you made mention about the fact that you guys had practiced so well going into that game, and then obviously didn't play well. I'm sure there's been times in your coaching career where you've gone into a game and said, well, you know what, practice has not been good this week, and you come out and play well.
No question. I remember, having some Thursday practices where you say we're going to get beat by 40, and you turn around and you play good on Saturday. But, it is true. How you practice is how you play, and through the long run, and we do everything we can to get a really fast-paced, high-rep practice tempo going out there. And I think we do practice well, and I think it's going to pay dividends as time goes on.
So the Rams will try to put that game behind them as they get the Border War coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about that and more as we continue on the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show from Old Town Fort Collins on the Colorado State Sports Network. We continue on the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show here at the Beach House Grill, Old Town Fort Collins. Again, the Rams going to be on the road coming up here this week. Don't forget, it's also basketball season, if you can believe it. And don't miss the next CSU men's basketball home game. It comes up a week from this Saturday, November the 27th, when the Rams take on Sam Houston State. It's $1 youth ticket night. Kids tickets are just $1 with a special coupon found on CSURams.com. They can also shoot free throws after the game. That's because it's a Jason's Deli Kids Night. For more information, call 1-800-491-RAMS or visit the all-new CSURams.com. The Coach Steve Fairchild joining us as Colorado State gets set to take on Wyoming. And I guess it was something we said in the postgame, and I know you guys probably look at it the same way. If there's one saving grace from what happened last Saturday against BYU, is that A, you get to play again, and B, you get to play your rival.
Exactly, and this is such a big rivalry game, and we try to educate our players on it. And it's a game that I learned very quickly as a player and assistant coach. That's not just important to two athletic departments, but important to two communities, two universities, and there's just a lot of people out there that have participated in this game and hold it very dear, and we'll have our eye on the field here Saturday.
Are there any particular memories, Steve, as a player or as an assistant coach with this rivalry? Yeah,
there's a ton of them. I remember as a player, I was part of that team that came down through the stands and got into kind of a little altercation with the coin flip. And I remember one year with Sonny, I think it was in the mid-'90s, late '90s, that we played a real late kickoff. It was maybe an 8 o'clock ESPN game, maybe even later for some reason, if I remember that right. And I think our students had the whole day to get ready for it. But they stormed the field, and we had a hard time finishing the game because there were so many students and people running around the field. But I'll never forget, we lived west of campus, my wife Nancy and I, and driving home about midnight, we saw a couple students with the goalpost running down Elizabeth Avenue and heading back to campus. I'll never forget that sight in my mind. So
that's great. And that kind of sums up this rivalry and what it means to both institutions, and the bronze boot and the running of the boot. I mean, there's a lot of pageantry that surrounds it.
Well, there are, and I think, just like Ag Day, I think this is part of Colorado State University, and I think it's incumbent upon us to educate our players. We've got some kids that are, from all over the country, and obviously our Denver kids are very familiar with this, the Colorado kids, but kids from Florida and kids from Texas and California, they're not so familiar. And I think it's, we try to talk about what that boot is and the fact that boot actually was in combat in Vietnam and what it symbolizes, and, the ROTC behind it, like you had mentioned. And, I take it very, very seriously. I'm proud that I'm a part of this rivalry, and I want our players to feel the same way.
When you talk about educating the younger kids on the team about the rivalry, does that responsibility fall more on the coaching staff or more on the elder statesmen in terms of the players?
Well, I think everybody. I think, Ricky Brewer is playing this thing for his 5th year and, 5th time. And, some of those guys, they know what it's about. So the younger guys will feed off them. But, we've got a coaching staff that has a lot of graduates from Colorado State University, myself included. And, we're very passionate about the football program and the rivalry and so forth. So, it's fun. It's a fun week. It's, we put people in front of the team and we talk about different things, and it's good. It's a good process.
I'm not sure how many years in a row, and I'm trying to look it up, and I can't find it, that it's been the final game of the regular season. Do you like it, the final game of the regular season?
Our athletic department does, and Paul Kowalczyk does, and therefore I think it is good. But, it's not the end all. If you can play it, I'd be much. It's kind of like our Utah-BYU thing. I just want to play Wyoming. That's the main thing. If we can play them sometime, anytime during the year out in the parking lot, that'd be fine. But you got to play this game. It's I believe it's one of, if not the oldest Division I rivalries west of the Mississippi. We've been playing this game for 100 years, and we should play for another 100 years.
Yeah, and of course, when it's the final game of the regular season and it's in Laramie, there's always a chance for bad weather. You remember any adverse weather games?
I've been up there when it's been cold, but actually it's been, I've been up there a number of times. And, 2 years ago, my first year, we were up there last game of the year, and it was nice. Yeah. So, in Laramie, I'm sure it can snow in September, but, we've been fortunate. We've had some nice games, and it appears like it won't be too severe this Saturday.
Yep, that's right. I think we're going to be fortunate once again here this year. Again, kickoff coming up at 12:06 on Saturday, Rams and the Pokes. We'll talk more about the game coming up after this. From Nelligan Sports, it's the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show here on the Colorado State Sports Network. Back here at the Beach House Grill on a Wednesday evening, Old Town Fort Collins, and a packed house here tonight for the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coaches Show. Brian Roth back with you, and CSU football coach Steve Fairchild. Steve, before we dive too much into the Cowboys, how about the injury situation for your team? I know Chris Woke was not available last week, kind of a fluke thing.
Yeah, we were doing a light workout on Thursday. We don't really do much, even thudding or contact on Thursday in a lot of drills, and he ended up they just went helmet to helmet with a linebacker there, and just kind of got a little, I don't even know if it was a concussion, but wasn't feeling right. And like I always said, Terry DeZeo and his staff and our doctors do such a great job, and if you're going to err anything to do with the neck and the head, you just want to make sure that that's right. And we weren't 100% sure when we talked to him on Friday that he was himself, so we held him out. And football game's a football game, but Chris Wolke has the rest of his life in front of him, and he's going to do great things, by the way. And it was just a smart decision to do that. So other injuries, we got TJ Borky with an ankle. We got a few guys that are kind of game time decisions in that regard. But again, I'll say this: we've trained very, very hard. Our strength and conditioning and training room have done such a great job that we are real healthy for a football team this time of the year.
Yep, that's certainly good news. That injury report brought to you by Poudre Valley Health System. They're proud to be the exclusive healthcare sponsor of Ram Athletics and proud to state that when you need medical care, they're here for you. For more information, visit pbhs.org. One other thing, in relating back to last week, thought you guys were going fairly deep in your offensive line rotation. There was a couple of names that I don't think I've called all season that played. Greigert, I believe, was out there for a little bit.
Yeah, and Jordan's been doing a really nice job for us. He's a young man. We gray-shirted my first year from Montana, and so he kind of was around, went through a spring ball, still had 5 years left, and redshirted, and now all of a sudden, you wake up and we're into year 3, but he's a redshirt freshman, and very, very talented kid, and doing a nice job. And there's a number of guys. This offensive line now is we're replacing one of the better ones in college football, but I think we're going to get there very quick again, and it's got some depth to it.
Yeah, and I know you guys are really high on center Weston Richburg. He got flagged with a penalty. I know where I think he was probably the retaliator after the initial.
Well, it always is.
Yeah.
Somebody does something, and then all of a sudden you shove them back, and you're the one that gets called. But Weston is a redshirt freshman. Just had a tremendous year, and when you look at honors, sometimes they vote on those things, and if you're not winning a ton of games, you're not going to be considered. But I'll tell you what, if there's a better freshman center in the country, I'd like to see him. And much like Michael Sisson, the guy probably should be considered for a freshman All-American team, and he is going to be like Pete Thomas, something special.
Yeah, well, it's nice you have a core of a center and a quarterback that'll be snapping the battery of
well, when you think about it, when you say you can build around a quarterback, and Pete Thomas now, he's got a chance to set the all-time Mountain West passing record this Saturday. When you start talking about we've got a quarterback and an offensive line, at least on the offense side of the ball, you're saying that's what you want to build around. So I think we're going in the right direction for sure.
Yep, and Richburg does have that mean streak. I know that Pat Meyer absolutely loves. It's not a dirty streak. It's a mean streak.
Just plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I think to play this game at any spot, you better have a little bit of that on you. And we really like the way Weston plays.
Yep, that's a good thing, no question. 1-866-702-7691, the telephone number tonight, and we will get into those Cowboys when we come back. But first, a timeout, live from the Beach House Grill in Old Town Fort Collins. Coors Light, Steve Fairchild, Coach's Show on the Colorado State Sports Network. Nearly to the midway point here tonight of the Coors Light Steve Fairchild Coach's Show, live at the Beach House Grill, Old Town Fort Collins. Is our final Steve Fairchild show of the year, but we'll be picking up on the Coors Light Basketball Coaches Show coming up Monday nights right here at the Beach House Grill. It starts on November the 29th. We'll go from 6 to 7 with Kristen Holt, head coach of the women's basketball team, and Tim Miles, head coach of the men's basketball team. Steve, I know you said you're going to try to get down to one or two of those, watch it from the other side.
I'd like nothing better than to sit out there and have a nice cold one and listen to somebody else up here talking. So Kristen does a great job. She's, just walking by and watching her practices, she could coach anything, and it's very nice to be around the office. And Tim Miles is as funny as can be, and he's obviously building a program and doing the right thing. So it's really kind of cool. We have a really nice environment over there in the athletic department. All the head coaches are really good people and really fun to be around, and I'm very fortunate in that way because I don't think that exists at every university.
Yeah. Wyoming, you get coming up on Saturday. This is a Cowboy team. I look at them in year two, kind of as I saw your team in year two last year, where they won a ton of close games. That first year, go to a bowl game. Second year, they haven't won as many close games.
Yeah, it is. There are some similarities. Last year they found a way to win some games, just like we did my first year. And I don't know if they were or we were that good to begin with, but you win a few close games, and all of a sudden you're in a bowl game. And then they played terrific, and won that bowl game. But I know Dave real well, and obviously his record speaks for itself, all that he's done in college football and at Missouri. And I'm sure he's like me. He's looking up and saying, even though we had some success first year and not had as much success the second year, those rebuilding jobs are multi-year tasks. And I'm not real familiar with his roster, but I'm sure he's got some work to do, and just like we still do. And but they're doing the right thing up there. You can tell they play hard. They're a good football team, and the kids he's bringing in are good players.
Yeah, Wyoming this year is like you in that they have not had a bye week.
Yeah, in fact, what happened on that is both of us had the bye this week, and I think we just came to an agreement as an athletic department that why that late into the season you'd sit out a week. So we just got together and decided we'd go ahead and play it and play on through. By in your with 1 or 2 games after, it's not what you're looking for. Like we've talked about before, you want to buy in September or early October at the latest.
Yeah, and again, I thought it was very interesting last week when Bronco Mendenhall was talking about that bye week before UNLV, and they come back. beat UNLV, beat you guys, and it kind of seems to have revitalized them. Do you make a request to the Mountain West to get a bye week next year?
Well, you do, but it's not that simple because their non-conference contracts and dates are involved, and and there's some other things like playing Wyoming at the end of the year, and we've got some other things that we've got to deal with within the schedule. So. And all they are when you do that is requests, and there's no guarantees, but we're doing everything we can to alter it next year to get one somewhere, and there's no guarantee where it'll show up. It's based on the conference scheduling, and but I think it's best for our football team that we get a bye somewhere.
Yeah, to dovetail off that, you guys picked up your 5th non-conference game last week. We didn't talk about it on the program, but UTEP, you guys will now be going down to El Paso next year.
Right, on short notice, and I know fans are very concerned and interested in how we schedule. A lot of the scheduling is done out till 2017, 2018. We're doing that, and you only schedule obviously non-conference, so you've got a select number of dates that you're talking about because the conference schedule then kicks in and they dictate what they're going to do at that point. So, but with very limited options, I thought this was a good game. Number one, it's in the state of Texas, and we do recruit down there, and it fit what we were looking for in terms of a date. So, like I said, there weren't a lot of options, so we went ahead and went with this one.
The Rams are going to take on the Cowboys coming up on Saturday. Pokes looking for their first conference win of the season. Rams hungry for their first road win. It should be an entertaining affair. More to come with the coach, Steve Fairchild, after this live at the Beach House Grill here in Old Town Fort College. From Elegant Sports, Colorado State Sports Network.